Hello there and welcome. You know, I said I was going to send you a couple more videos when you got the last one. Well, I've decided to talk about a subject that is really misunderstood by almost everyone. I'm going to talk to you about success and its polar opposite, failure. Do you know, success and failure are not what everybody thinks. I believe the best definition of success that I have ever seen is one that came from Earl Nightingale many, many years ago. In fact, he coined it around 1951. He passed away in 1989, and he never changed a word of his definition of success. He said it was the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Now think of that. Progressive realization. That isn't going ahead, stop, and go backwards. It's progressive, continually moving toward it. The progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Now, for some strange reason, most people think of success as something they may get to. And when they don't, they consider themselves failures. Do you know, if you have an idea of failure in your mind, it devastates your entire mind. It puts your mind in a terrible vibration, your body goes into a bad vibration, and everything goes haywire. Hopefully, with the message I'm going to share with you, you're going to have a totally different concept of success and failure. You see, success and failure is not like black and white. It's not like that at all. Success and failure are so closely aligned with one another, and yet it's so misunderstood. You'll watch one individual go out and enjoy tremendous success. You'll see someone else working right beside them, possibly for the same employer, maybe selling the same thing in the same marketplace, and they're blowing it. And they take a look at their results and they feel like they're mediocre. What's the difference here? Is the one person just so much better than the other? Is one person got something figured out that the other doesn't seem to ever figure out? Because you see, once the person gets the idea that they're mediocre or they're a failure, they're sunk. They are really sunk. Because the more they focus on that, the more they move into that vibration. Now, I want you to really open your mind here. I want you to listen really carefully. Now, you don't just listen with your ears. You hear with your ears. You listen with your emotions. So I want you to let yourself get very locked up in this. And let's understand that success and failure are not going in opposite directions, regardless of how much it may appear that way. Success and failure are very, very closely aligned. Now, this may seem bizarre, and it may seem like I really don't know what I'm talking about, but I really do know what I'm talking about. I have studied this subject like a scientist for over 50 years now. See, the person that's mediocre is being controlled by ideas that are in their subconscious mind. They don't understand what's going on. They're letting the outside world control them, and all they're looking at is the results. They don't really understand what's going on inside. They don't understand that failure is a part of success. Everyone fails every day, but that doesn't make them a failure. You see, I have found the person that's winning is in control of their paradigm, and the person that is getting the results where they consider themselves to be mediocre, they're being controlled by their paradigm. Now, I'll tell you something else I've found. I've found that success and failure are not going in opposite directions. As a matter of fact, success and failure are so closely aligned that it's like a razor's edge that separates the two. Now, there was a book written on the razor's edge by W. Somerset Maugham, and Darryl Zanuck then made a movie out of it. Then the movie was recaptured here just a few years ago again. The line that separates success from failure is as fine as a razor's edge. Do you know, if you go back to 1947, there was a racehorse named Armed. Armed was the first racehorse in 1947 to earn over $1 million in prize money. That year, Armed won $761,500 in prize money in a year. 761,500. Now, the horse that came in second, time after time after time, sometimes just lost by a nose, only won 75,000. Now, you get your calculator out and study this, and that's the way most people look at it, 75,000, 761,500. Yet would appear that Armed was 13 times better than its closest competitor. However, if you look at this objectively and really understand this success-failure concept, you're going to realize that Armed wasn't even 4% better. Isn't that strange? Not even 4% better. Yet he earned 13 times as much money. See, the person that's succeeding is not that much better. We have a tendency to look at them and say, wow, maybe 4%. You could just step right through that terror barrier. Step right through that razor's edge. If you go back to the Olympic Games in Montreal, now that's fresh in my mind because Canada hosted the Games and I'm Canadian. It was back in 1976. There was 8 finalists in the 100-meter dash. Now imagine this for a moment. 8 of them all lined up, going as fast as they could move for 100 meters. Do you know the one that won the gold medal wasn't even 1/10 of a second ahead of the person who came in last? There wasn't a big difference. Didn't even medal. Less than 1/10 of a second. A breath. Just the razor's edge. Well, I have found when a person starts to understand this, and they start to understand the paradigm, they start to understand the relationship of success and failure, they take control of their paradigm. They take control of the paradigm, and they realize that they should let the dead bury the dead. And so they let the mediocre results move off into the dead past, and nature abhors a vacuum, and success takes its place. And you know what they did? They just kicked that razor's edge out of the way. There wasn't a big difference. It was such a tiny little difference. It was psychological. It was perception. They had a perception problem. They both had exactly the same talent and ability. They both worked with exactly the same potential. Well, you see, you might be just that far away from phenomenal success. How did a guy like me, no formal education, no business experience, go from 4,000 to 175? Just like that. Way back in 1961. It was such a shocking change that it's still fresh in my mind over 50 years later. So, as we drop the curtain on this very important lesson, as we close the curtain on it, let's make a decision right now that we will study and really understand paradigms. See, the person that was getting mediocre results, paradigm was in control of them. The person that was enjoying success, they were in control of the paradigm. And when the person that was getting the mediocre results decided to change, to study and understand the paradigms, voila, success was theirs. That's what all our programs are about. That's what I'm about. My whole purpose in life is to organize and share this information, communicate it as effectively as I can. I want you to understand that you can earn any amount of money you want. You can build the business you want. You can enjoy the relationships that you want. You can enjoy the health you want. You can run and you won't get weary. When you get your mind on the right slot and you take control of your paradigm. Now, I'm going to send you another video in the very near future. And I'm going to get into paradigms. I'm going to show you how they're formed. And I'm going to show the potential that's sitting there waiting for you when you take control. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson because I loved sharing it with you. This is Bob Proctor, and thank you. Check us out at ProctorGallagherInstitute.com for tips, tools, and resources.